Hi everyone, Carol Garrison with Carol's Creative Escape. It is Monday, which means it's time for another Make It Monday. My name's Carol Garrison and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from White Bear Lake, Minnesota. I've been making cards and spreading joy one card at a time for over 30 years now. And my goal in doing my videos and sharing my cards is truly to just spread that joy around, whether it's giving a card to somebody or helping somebody see that they can be creative and make these gorgeous cards as well. So that's my goal. I hope everybody had a really great week. We had a fairly uneventful week and basically just I got all my gardens weeded this weekend, most of my gardens. Looks like Zelda's going to join us for a little bit tonight. But otherwise, it was a fairly uneventful week. Enjoyed our long weekend last week, resulting in a shorter work week this past week. But now we're back into the full swing of things as summer kicks off. Today it is 84 degrees and humid, so we've kind of perhaps turned the corner to that weather. Haven't had to turn my air conditioning on yet. We shut the house up pretty tight this morning, and so far it's actually still very comfortable. So I have not a whole lot more to share with you this week. I am very excited tonight to share with you a new stamp set. So let me go ahead and just get the camera flipped around. I do apologize for the jiggling, whoops, that occurs when I do this. And you can probably see the cat as she's right underneath the camera. Once I get everything situated here, I will remove her from the table. I don't know, for some reason she seems to be anxious to be here with us. Are you going to join us tonight, Zelda? Fortunately, it's going to take me just a minute to get everything lined up here, and it would really help if you stepped out of the way, cat. Some days she listens better than other days. Let's see what we can do here to get our camera straight. And I'm just going to move her out of the way at this point. Okay, I think we're good to go. So, what I am going to share with you tonight, and if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that pretty much any time there's going to be a seascape, or seashells or kind of nautical themed stamp set, most likely I'm going to get it. And this would be true from the new catalog. It's a stamp set suite of products bundle called Seaside Wishes, and it includes this 12-piece photopolymer stamp set, which includes a couple sand dollars, a couple starfish, some sand or rock, and then a few sentiments. And it comes with this set of dies, which pairs with this gorgeous 3D embossing folder. But what's really cool about this embossing folder is it's a hybrid embossing folder. And so what that hybrid folder means is that I can take this particular die and line it up in the folder, put my paper down, and when I run it through my die cut machine, it will die cut and emboss these images. And so that ends up producing, pull this out of the way, 3 different size sand dollars. And then it produces, I'm not quite sure what to call these things, but it produces 2 of those as well. In the die set, and then there's also some seaweed or something like that. And then here's kind of what that embossing folder looks like without die cutting things out, except I cheated and used the middle of my paper to get this particular die because I'm going to be using that tonight, but that's going to be covered up, so just a little cheat there. So just some really cool impressions that you can get out of this. And you can die cut them or not. That embossing folder will either die cut like I've got here or simply emboss. And If I decided after the fact that I wanted to die cut these, I could do that as well and just lay the die cut on here and start cutting out that way. I am featuring again tonight that Thoughtful Journey Designer Series paper. It's the one that I used in my last video. It's a 6x6 pad of paper that's available in the catalog. So I will first show you on pages 73 of the catalog is the Seaside Wishes bundle. And again, it includes a stamp set, the dies, and that embossing folder. So that's on page 73 in the catalog. And then the 47 Designer Series paper that I'm referencing is on page 47 of the annual catalog. And that's this beautiful Designer Series paper right here with all these amazing things. And it is online. I have found just a ton of cards that are combining this Thoughtful Journeys and the Seaside Wishes paper. Just a ton of things out there. So keep that in mind if you're going to get the stamp set, or if you're going to get that paper, maybe you want to get the stamp set. So the cards that I want to share with you tonight, these were inspired from a couple layouts that I found on Pinterest. This one I will give credit to. I need to write down the person's name. I forgot to do that, but I will give credit in the comments to that. Very simple. The card that I saw actually used a different Seaside stamp set that we've had in the past, but I loved how this kind of pulled the colors together. This is using the new Shy Shamrock. Is this? Nope, this is Summer Splash, excuse me. And then this is the, what color is this that I used? Oh gosh. I am so embarrassed I can't remember what color I used. I want to say Summer Splash, I believe is that other color. And so I just, did a little brushing, pulled out some different colors in there, but still was able to focus on these two new greens. And I think that made a really pretty simple card. And then I don't know how many of you are aware of the fact that we have a new basic color, and it is called Basic Beige. And it will be part of our basic colors now in the annual catalog. So this is kind of a monotone version using Basic Beige. Here is the rock stamp. These are actually two separate stamps, and I just created a pattern on the side of my paper. Figured this is light enough that I could just write right on there, but I added a layer so I'd have a little bit of thickness to my card. And then I just embossed this one. Didn't do any coloring or anything on the background. And then I have a basic white sand dollar that I die cut, and I just took my blending brush and went right over the top of that. And added a few pearl rhinestones. These are kind of a greenish tone just to add a little color with a little happy birthday sentiment. This next card, I need to give full credit to a demonstrator by the name of Laura. It's either Seki or Seki, S-E-K-I. She's a Canadian demonstrator, and as soon as I saw this card, I had to make it. She did use one of the new dies, embossing folders behind it that I don't own, so I just used the 3D painted embossing folder, which is still available as an online exclusive item. And I've got the smaller of those skeletal-like things, and then the medium-sized sand dollar, which I brushed with a little bit of Pool Party. And then what I really liked about this is the Designer Series paper. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can in the camera. I ran that through the embossing folder, and I just love that look. This is kind of the back side, so it's just a group of colors, but I think this would work with so many of the embossing folders that we've got. I just think this is gorgeous, and I don't know, I fell in love with this card. I had to make it a little bit mine because I didn't have everything that she had, but this is really very, very, very similar to what she had. So Laura, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful, beautiful card. This is also done on Basic Beige, and Pool Party's kind of the the theme. Lost Lagoon is actually the darker color in here, but I don't know. I just fell in love with this card. So this is the one I'm actually going to show you how to make today. And I am going to be doing it in that wild wheat color that I keep trying to learn to like. I actually like it in this card and with the combination of papers that I've got. So to start with here, we have a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of paper, piece of cardstock, and it's scored at 4 1/4. So I've just taken my bone folder and I've burnished it down there. I have a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 Cajun Craze. And as I had indicated earlier, I did die cut. Oh gosh, you guys saw me have that piece and now I can't find it. I did die cut the Cajun Craze piece out of here. Oh, how can this happen to me? There it is. Whew. But because, like I said, this is going to be covered, this is a great way to save on paper. If you don't have a scrap of it, just cut it out of the center. I'm going to be covering it up with the Designer Series paper, so it is not going to show. And unless you're watching this video, you're not even going to know there's a hole in the middle of my card because it's going to be covered up. And then I used the medium. I'm actually using Very Vanilla just because I liked that with the colors that I've got going here. The color in that designer paper is more basic white, but I think that's one that kind of goes either way. And then I've got 3 pieces of Designer Series paper. This one I've pulled out more of the Cajun Craze, Mossy Meadow, and the Wild Wheat. And these 3 pieces each measure 2.5 by 1 3/4. And again, they've been run through that 3D embossing folder, just kind of randomly placed. So it's got bits and pieces of the texture or the sand dollars on there. And last but not least, I've got another piece of Very Vanilla that measures 4 by 5 1/4. And then a scrap of Very Vanilla for the sentiment. So it's very easy to create this card. It's just running stuff through the Big Shot. And I am actually going to start by adhering this piece to my card base. And you know what I forgot to do? I think last week I ran out of adhesive, and guess who's really not been down in her creative space a whole lot this week. So I may have to do a quick tape runner change here, but we'll add this layer. And again, look at your opposite corners. If these are even on the sides, then these corners should automatically become even on those sides. And then we are going to take, and I kind of lay it out just to sort of see where my color is and how I want it to show. Because I'm using the Cajun Craze as my background piece, I kind of want to have more of that showing, but then right here I'm okay covering it up a little bit because I've got that part in the middle there. And so that's kind of roughly where I'm going to put those pieces. These 2 I am adhering flat. This piece is actually going up on dimensionals, and that is because I am having some other things right by that on dimensionals. So let's go ahead and pop that up. And I happen to have a pack left over from a paper pumpkin, so I'm just using those up, which is why my sheet looks a little bit different rather than a full pack of dimensionals. And then, like I said, these 2 pieces we're going to just adhere with adhesive. So let me go ahead and put that on these. You know, this designer paper is one of those that you have to really decide which side you want to use. It's kind of hard to decide which side to cover up because they're both just so pretty. There is no real blah or ugly side to this paper. All right, and then we're gonna put this piece. I do want to make sure I'm covering up most of that, so I'm gonna put this somewhere right in here. And then I'm not going to put this last piece on quite yet because I need to come in with this and this and this and do a little bit of brushing and stamping. So let's grab, I was really debating what color I want to use. And I think I'm actually going to go with the wild wheat because I sort of feel like I'm got a lot of the Cajun craze going on there right now. And so I'm going to grab, I've just got an old notebook left over from a Stampin' Up event. And I'm grabbing that so that I can do a little bit of brushing with one of my blends. And so I'm just going to put some ink on here. This color does come out awfully dark, so I do want to lighten it up. I'm just going to rub some on in sort of a random circular motion, mostly to highlight things, and leave it at that. So that's all I need to do with that. And then I'm going to grab my piercing mat because I am using photopolymer stamps. And we are going to grab 2 sentiments. These are coming from the Unbounded Love stamp set. And I'm using Happy Birthday and May All Your Wishes Come True. I think Happy Birthday, typically people might use that on the outside of their card, but or on the inside, but I'm going to be a little different tonight and put it on the outside of my card. And so I'm just going to stamp this right here. It's not quite straight. Good thing I have a B side of my paper. And we're going to leave it like that. And then on the inside of my card, I'm going to come back and I'm going to stamp Happy Birthday. And we'll just put that kind of up here on the top. Can't tell if that might be just a little uphill. So we're going to try this again. My stamping is off just a titch. And we'll go like that. And then I want to show you real quick how I did the rocks on that other card. And I did it without using, you know, like a Stamparatus or a Misty kind of thing. But I basically pulled the rocks pieces out of the stamp set. And I started with the bigger grouping of rocks. And on the side, I stamped right in the middle, and I just eyeballed it. And then I did the top, and then I did the bottom, and then I came back in with the smaller set of rocks right there and just filled in this in-between space. And so that was kind of how I got my pattern. And it just sort of magically worked out that my spacing was pretty good. So no big secrets to how I did that. That's just how it worked out. And now I think we can finish assembling our card. So let's go ahead and do the front first. We are going to take and put on dimensionals. You know, I did the wrong sand dollar. I did the smallest one, and I really want this size. And the reason for that is it's going to look off proportionately with using this rust piece that I've got. So I'm hoping that I have just enough ink on here that, again, I can kind of come back in and do a little circle on it. And now I've got the right size sand dollar. I played a lot with the size of the sand dollars when I was making it the first time. And then I am going to pop this particular one up on dimensionals. And we'll put that, oh, kind of right about there. And then this piece, I want to stick out, but it's also going to be underneath this final piece of paper. And so to do that, I wanted it popped up, and I'm actually going to pull one of these off the corner because it's going to get in the way. But instead, I'm going to put that dimensional on the back side of this, and it's going to show through, and that's okay. And before I put it down, I am going to grab my green glue here and add just a couple drops of glue to some of the bigger areas, because I do want this to kind of lay flat and not pop up. And so we're going to put this right about here. And I'll just press down where I glued. I've got that dimensional right there. And then I can put this piece back down. I'm going to run just a little bit of adhesive where I pulled off the one dimensional. It should stick to that, but I'll give it a little help. Some days we can all use just a teeny bit of help. And then I'm just going to place this on here so that that is covered, but still popped up on all four corners. Okay, so just like that. And then last but not least, one of the things I liked was how this was angled. I just thought it added a little bit of whatever to the card. And so I'm just taking my snips and cutting it at an angle. There's no real rhyme or rhythm to how I decided to do that. And then this is going to hang off the edge a little bit, so I do need to add one more dimensional to this side. And then I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive on this side because this needs to stick to this part. And I put that dimensional over here so that it's at the same level as this paper is, which is also popped up on dimensionals. Hopefully that makes sense. May all your wishes come true. And then we will put this layer on the inside of the card. And again, I need to give full credit to Laura Leki, S-E-K-I, for sharing this beautiful layout with us. And the inside of our card is done. And the last thing that I want to do to kind of finish this off is add a little bit of embellishment to the card. And guess what? I can't find them. No surprise, is it? I was actually very organized. I was way ready ahead of time. I had everything together. Here they are. They got buried. I even had a glue dot available because I need to add my little ribbon here. This is just made with 2 pieces of twine. I'm going to put a glue dot on the back right at my knot, and then I just kind of crunch it up so that it doesn't stick out around the knot. And we'll put that twine bow right there. When I'm using the twine, a lot of times I do like to put 2 pieces of twine together. It just gives it a little more thickness. And then we're going to grab our Picket tool and add a couple pieces of, these are the adhesive back textured dots, and they are fairly flat, so they don't stick up super far in postage, but they have just a bit of design on them. I'm going to hold it up here. Hopefully you can see, it gives just a little bit of texture to them. There we go. I think that shows up now. So it adds a little bit of pop without distracting too much from the rest of what you're working on. So here are just a couple samples of cards. The other thing is this layout. I think I've talked about this before, but on page 22 of our catalog, there are the starts of different layouts, and it gives you just kind of the black and white quick one, and then it also has some examples of some of the different layouts as well to start with. And this particular card is modeled after this layout right here. So beautiful, beautiful card. I thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope you enjoyed this card as well, and the different options that we made. I like that each of these are different colors and it still looks good. You know, I think they're real pretty. So thank you so much for joining me tonight, and we will see you all next week. Have a great week. Good night.